guys have been in the freezer.
They're chilled?
And they're chilled, definitely. But I noticed that we also, now we grew a plate. What's the story
This
there?
is a kind of a trick for testing the doneness or the gel point of the jam. We're gonna put the saucer or a little cup in the freezer, and then when we take a little of the, and you can't tell when it's hot if it's gonna be thick, you just spoon a little bit on, and then put it back in the freezer for a second, and it's still running a little bit.
Right.
So it's probably got another 5 minutes.
Oh, really? Why can't we use, I've got this little thermometer that when I was a chef, we used to carry it around all the time and stick in everything. Why can't I just stick this little thermometer?
Well, it doesn't, I don't think it goes up high enough.
So what kind of temperature are we looking
We're
at
talking higher than boiling, obviously, even though it's boiling.
Right.
But because of the sugar, it brings the temperature much hotter.
Right.
That only goes to a little over boiling, 220.
220. And
That's
boiling is?
212.
212.
But we're talking like high 230,
And
237.
This is Fahrenheit.
Mm-hmm.
When I used to cook professionally back in the dark ages, we would sometimes, when we were making some kind of syrup thing, we would freeze our fingers. We would have, and then put our fingers in and use, basically, I guess, use your finger as this. If it's stuck.
Oh, you mean put your finger in ice water?
Yeah.
And then pull it
yeah.
and see how it's
Right,
stuck? Yeah,
right.
you could do that.
Yeah,
I
prefer,
if you didn't know what you're doing, I might not be
Yeah.
so keen on putting my hand in.
I prefer
boiling syrup.
I prefer this
But you
idea. I
can
wish
see
I'd
it's-
known that. See what happens when you don't do it that way? That didn't work.
It's almost there, and this is now warm enough that I would say another minute or so, and this is going to be set and ready to go.
Okay.
But it's just a kind of a tried and true test without getting too technical with the candy thermometer, which you probably, unless you're making candy, don't have it
Right, you
in
don't
your
have
house.
it hanging around.
And the other problem with that too is it's hard with a small batch like this. It's hard to get an even read because of the quantity, right? You know, tilt and that's kind of dangerous and stuff. So.
Okay, so if we're gonna make jam, and it's getting ready to come off, there's another layer to making jam that we touched on briefly, and that's sanitizing
Right.
what it is that you're going to put the jam in. We happen to have a bunch of jelly jars around.
Right. Yep.
And the thing about jelly jars is that you can reuse this part of the lid, but this part of the lid, which has the rubber on it, you should use a new one every time.
Right.
And so these are available at supermarkets, and if they're not, then once we're known far and wide, they will be.
Sure. You don't have to buy a whole new set of jars. You just
Just-
need to buy the little replacement lid.
Exactly. So we want to boil up all the parts, right?
Yep. The water's not quite boiling, but
Okay.
and you want to boil it for about 8-10 minutes just to make sure they're perfectly sterilized and clean. And then working with them hot, you know, use tongs to take them out of the water
Right.
and fill them while they're hot. And we'll do the lid and
Right. They sell these sets that have special tongs that fit the side and everything, but really most kitchens are equipped with whatever it is. You get a regular set of tongs. This is a pretty high-end, fancy-looking one.
they're good for nonstick pans
They're good for nonstick
because
pans.
of the soft
Oh
edges.
yeah, definitely. And nonstick pans are definitely the rage now.
Yeah, because in a nonstick pan you don't have to use as much fat. Things don't stick.
So, just to touch on that briefly, there's a lot of different pots and pans out there.
A lot of different
They
pots
got
and
a lot
pans.
of different people's names on them. I noticed that neither of ours are on any of them. But
Not yet.
what?
I would say when you're buying,
when you buy a pot and pan.
you don't need the whole fancy set because you end up keeping half of it in the drawer and never using it. But a good, you know, like we have a kind of a stock pot here. It's good for boiling or cooking soups or chilies. And
Right.
then maybe a small saucepan, like things just heating
What's
things
that, like
up.
4, 6 quart?
This is
4 quart?
probably a
8?
8 to 10. This is probably maybe 1.5 quart.
Uh-huh.
And then I have a 2 quart back here with a lid on it. So like if you're making rice or when we're gonna do the couscous.
Right.
And this is just, you know, pretty basic, simple black pot that's 4 quarts. Yeah.
But one of the things that you do want to, I think I've learned over the years, look for when you're buying a pan is, one, the kind of handle that it is, and two, that it's really heavy bottom.
Heavy bottom, yeah,
Because
definitely.
especially if you're using, most houses in Philadelphia are going to have gassy.
The heavy bottom prevents from scorching, and also it's going to be a sturdier pan. It's not going to be tinny, and it's going to last longer. Like this pan's probably 20 years old. It's pretty solid. goes in the oven. You can do all kinds of baking in it, even braising.
And when you have a heavier pan, the heat distributes more evenly through the whole pan, so you don't get that everything cooking in exactly one
That
spot.
one spot, or burning. In that
Everything
one spot.
burning in exactly that one spot.
Or even, you know, good old cast iron. They're great skillets for, now they come pre-seasoned, so you don't have to keep them, you know.
Re-oil them all the
Right,
time.
they're constantly ready to go, and they're, you know, $20 for a 10-inch skillet, or pretty reasonable compared to some of the higher end fancier pans. They're
Right.
basically the same thing.
And I've noticed that you can find them at the local thrift store. They have,
Sure.
a lot of
Oh, yeah.
places have a department that has secondhand pans, and there's absolutely no reason. I assume you're going to clean it when you get
Scrub.
home. There's absolutely no reason why you can't buy a used pan.
No. And just as long as it's the kind that you're looking for,
Right.
heavy bottom, and you know, the non-stick ones are sort of the rage right now. Like I said, you have to be careful because some of the coating can kind of peel away a little bit. You don't want to use them after they've started to give off that coating, but using the proper tools like wooden spoons or rubber spatulas or things that aren't going to scrape against that coating, they're good for forever.
Great.
Well, I'm going to just give these a quick brush again, and we'll throw those in. Let's see the other ones.
This is the egg white that we saved from making this.
Yep, the yolk's in the cake itself, and then the egg white just frothed up a little bit.
This really is it looks like Shrek or something, biscuit.
Well, all I know is it's going to hold some juice from the strawberries pretty well. And then sprinkle a little sugar on top. And then right into a 400-degree oven or so, and we'll check them in about 6 minutes. Alright, so to sterilize the jars, you need to put them into boiling water carefully. Submerge there. And the lids. We'll just do 2. I think we have enough jelly to fill 2. And then just let those boil for, I think, 8-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Then sterilize. So after 8 or 10 minutes, like I said, carefully remove the jars, and you want to be careful not to get all that water out. That looks good.
You still have a lot of the pulp
meat.
of the meat of the strawberries, as opposed to if we were making jelly,
Which is fruit-free,
right.
but all the flavor and
made with the juice
Right.
of the.
and take it up right to the top.
Right. Very important that you take it up all the way so that you don't have room for bacteria to grow at the top of the jar, because remember, you're going to be putting this in the closet and leaving it there for a while.
And you're going to go ahead and set that lid right on top there. And you don't want to screw them on too tight because you got to let them
Right.
cool properly, and then
They're going to pop,
pop.
and then you can recheck the lid and make sure that it's.
And that popping is the air kind of the self-vacuuming themselves, like this you could say.
All right, it's
Biscuits
biscuit
are ready.
time. Oh yeah.
That's a nice biscuit. Make sure they're not really perfect on the bottom. And we'll usually want to take them off the hot pan so they stop cooking.
But when you take them off the pan, if you're using the parchment paper, that's just it, slide it right
Slide right
up
off.
onto a plate. And
Nothing's
no
dirty on the pan.
cleanup. Not put your tongue on the pan though, that's not a good idea.
That's true.
Yeah.
So let them cool a little bit, and then we got the macerated strawberries that we'll spoon on top of those. And
Now you cut these guys in half?
You can, or you
make
can
a little
just-
top hat for them?
you can split it,
Uh-huh.
open it up, just take a little knife or a fork, and they're almost.
They almost split themselves,
Yeah.
really, because of the layering.
Yep. So that's bottom strawberries. I'm gonna serve it with a little vanilla yogurt, and put the top back on.
Okay, so you don't need really, you don't need the big can of whipped cream.
You don't need the canned whipped cream.
I mean,
You don't need, I mean, ice cream would be good, frozen yogurt would be a little healthier, but I like it with just some fresh yogurt, to kind of light. It doesn't, you know, doesn't have a whole lot of fat. And still tastes rich, the cake helps. And the sweetness from the strawberries
great,
goes well with the yogurt.
great.
We're gonna use a little fresh yogurt. These are the ones that we had macerating, so you can see all that good
Juice
juice
is collected
in there.
down the bottom, yeah.
Slip into the biscuit.
The part of my work that's so hard.
Well, someone's got to try it all.